Oh, it's still all chunky up top. Is it supposed to be this chunky? Chef PK, I challenge you to a Shokugeki in which the theme is fried chicken, but you have to use the last dab as a secret ingredient, and I've even included my very own blend of special spicy honey mustard, which you have to try to beat. Challenge accepted. Now, since I am making karaage, I'm gonna be using chicken thighs for this. If you're doing this at home, feel free to use chicken breast if you really want to. Chicken thighs are the better option. So we're not gonna really need to handle this too much. We're just gonna go ahead and remove it from the packaging and kind of just remove any excess fat that may be on here, but these look really lean. It's actually not very much chicken. I should probably bought more chicken, but I wanna cut this up into smaller bite-sized pieces. So grab yourself a bowl just so you have something to land in, and that way you can start marinating these right away. But I mean, this really doesn't have very much fat on here. These are actually relatively lean looking, so I'm just removing some of the fat that is on here so it doesn't get in the way while you're actually frying. But I want nice chunkers because we're gonna need a good amount of this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be cutting these up into maybe 1 inch by 1 inch pieces. That's all you're really gonna need to do is just get these all cut up. I like the bigger pieces of chicken for my karaage because I feel like it keeps a lot of the moisture content in there. So that's gonna be a key factor in this as well. Plus it's chicken thigh. It's so much better. Now, once you have all of your chicken into your bowl, it's really not a lot of chicken. This is what we're gonna season and marinate, and that marinade needs to hang out for about 4 or 5 hours. Since he had sent me this really beautiful raw honey, what I actually wanna do is I wanna utilize the honey with some buttermilk to make the marinade with this, along with a few spices. But we're gonna go ahead and dissolve some of this honey in a little bit of hot water. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this into Chef Mike and heat this up relatively quickly. I haven't tried this honey yet. Oh, it looks phenomenal. It's raw honey, and you can see it looks a little different than your average honey, probably because I think when honey looks like this, it's not purified. It has like this, it has things blended into it basically, but I'm actually kind of curious as to how this tastes. It looks gorgeous though. Look at this honey though. Oh, it almost looks like melted ice cream at this point. We're only gonna use a little bit of that because we want the sweetness from the honey. And then let's see if this water, that should be warm enough. You don't need it too hot. We're gonna take a nice heaping tablespoonful of our raw honey and pop that in there and just kind of bring it together. This should hopefully dissolve. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. So that way you get your honey nice and diluted. That way it breaks up a little bit better. And then we're gonna add some buttermilk to this along with our spices. Oh God, I'm getting it everywhere. Oh, that's fantastic though. The wildflower comes through so much. That is so good. So to our 125 milliliters of water plus honey, we're gonna add in another probably 150 mil worth of buttermilk. This will be the start to our beautiful marinade. Now I'm just gonna let that hang out for a second. Ooh, I wanna eat this. I wanna eat this honey though. Oh, fantastic. Oh my God. Now what I'm also going to use is a little bit of granulated garlic because it's fantastic. I love the granulated garlic with chicken like this, just a little bit. I'm gonna put all this in the description below, but we're gonna say about 1 gram of each granulated garlic, granulated ginger, and maybe just a little sprinkle of paprika. Not too much on that one. Now remember, the goal of this is to have the sweetness from the chicken play off of the future spiciness of the sauce. So that's why we added the honey to this, to the marinade, versus adding the honey to the sauce. This way you can have them kind of play off of each other rather than compete, if that makes sense. So that way you don't have spicy on both. But once you have your chicken covered, just go ahead and massage it just a little bit. Make sure it's totally submerged. What's up, buddy? What do you need? You already had breakfast. Apparently Gandalf thought that this is gonna be for him, but once you get all of this submerged and ready to go, just throw a lid on it, and we're gonna let this hang out for about 4 or 5 hours before we start frying it. So just set this in the fridge until you're ready. Now we gotta make our sauce, and for this, just grab yourself a bowl, and we're gonna kind of wing it and go off of flavor profile, so to make it however really you want. But the main ingredient is going to be a little bit of that buttermilk because it is delicious for blue cheese dressings, but we don't actually want too much of this. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna add about maybe 100 milliliters worth of this because we don't need to make too much of it, along with some sour cream and then your blue cheese. I'm using Point Reyes blue cheese because I think it's a little bit more mild, but it's also really creamy, and it's probably one of my favorite blue cheese. Now, as far as the sour cream goes, I'm adding this just to give it a different flavor profile, like change up the layering of flavors. We're gonna add in just about, I don't know, maybe 2 tablespoons worth of your sour cream. Get that kind of mixed up in there. Oh no, I need an apron. This is gonna be bad. Keep your spoon. Don't get rid of your spoon. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wash 400 spoons. Let me put on an apron. Now again, the creaminess in this dressing is going to actually calm down that last dab, which is what I'm terrified about because I know it's supposed to be super spicy. So we have our sour cream and our buttermilk in here. We're gonna hit this with a little bit of celery salt. This is gonna be your main salt that you're gonna be using for this, so don't go too heavy on it, but I like the flavor of celery salt in blue cheese dressing. I think it's fantastic. Then I'm gonna hit with just a little bit of that paprika as well, followed by granulated garlic, because you have to have granulated garlic in this. It's almost like a ranch in a way. And then just a little bit of your onion powder or your crushed granulated onion. This is gonna give it a lot of flavor. And again, this is gonna be totally up to you. So the reason why I didn't add in too much of that celery salt is because I wanted to have the celery salt flavor, but I don't want it to be overly salted from that. I'd rather also add in some kosher salt if I need to. This is going to be the base for your actual dressing. Now, if you're making a blue cheese sauce or a dressing like this, make sure that it's fully combined before you add your blue cheese. This way you can control how chunky your sauce is. Otherwise, if you put your blue cheese in and then you started blending it, you're just gonna end up with kind of a runny blue cheese dressing, which I don't think is as texturally nice as something like this, where you can kind of control how chunky you want your blue cheese dressing to be. And now I have to figure out how to open plastic. We're gonna do one of these. I'm gonna use a nice hefty chunk of this. I want you guys to see the inside at this point, right? It's so beautiful. Like, look at this. You don't need too much, but it's super creamy. Oh, the flavor of this is gonna be so good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to chunk just a little bit of this blue cheese and drop it in. We are still going to use the whisk to combine it, but we don't want to kind of like fully incorporate this. Otherwise, again, it's just going to be bottled craft blue cheese, which is not what you're looking for. But you also want to make sure that you get a lot of that blue cheese flavor in there. So I'm going to start off by chunking some of it in there, bringing this together with the whisk, and then adding a little bit more just to make sure that you get nice chunky bits of blue cheese. So I want to see if I can get maybe a little bit more. I don't want to overdo it with the blue cheese because it is a strong blue cheese. There's still big bits of blue cheese in here that I don't want. So I'm just gonna work this with my hands for a little bit, making sure that I kind of break them down, and then we're gonna give this a taste. Now, the last thing we're gonna do is actually add in our last dab, because that's gonna be the control. Like, we wanna make sure that we don't go overboard with it. We want it to be spicy enough to where you wanna constantly eat it, but we don't want it to be overwhelmingly spicy to where you can't eat it, because I know how spicy that dressing can be. Now that we have some of this combined with our blue cheese, I want you to see what it looks like. You see how there's not lots of chunks in here? What I actually want you to do is grab your spoon and try some of the dressing or the dip that doesn't have like a big chunk of blue cheese in it. I want you to see if there's any blue cheese flavor. Yes, that is nice. I'm actually just gonna add just a little more blue cheese and some black pepper before we add anything else. The salt is nice. The other spices are nice. You get them in there. Make sure you have a good helping of black pepper in there as well. Now I'm gonna add just a little more blue cheese, not too much. This way it gets chunky. And with a sauce like this, the reason why I'm doing it at the same time as I'm marinating the chicken is because I want this to sit. This actually would be so much better next day, but you can make it early on in the day and then just kind of use it, you know, after a few hours of letting it just settle. This is one of those sauces that for sure tastes better, even 4 or 5 days. This is gonna taste amazing. I think that's gonna be enough. We used almost half of our brick of blue cheese, but I think that's gonna be nice. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of gently bring this together now. It's a little thin. We're gonna see how it comes out after it's rested a little bit and all those flavors played. So this is what we have now. That's kind of the consistency you're looking for. You don't want it too much thinner than that, otherwise it really won't coat the chicken when you go to dip it. Even this looks a little thin, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with just a touch more sour cream so that way it thickens back up. Make sure you just use a new spoon, you know? Don't combine your blue cheese spoon and your sour cream spoon. And now we have more spoons to wash. Now combine that sour cream just a little bit, get all that good in there. I like this. This is a better texture for sure. Now for the last dab. I'm terrified of this sauce. Now for this. I don't know if I actually want to try this on its own, but just to get what is this packaging? I don't know if I really want to try this. It's gonna be spicy. Like, just even judging by the sauce that he sent me, which I almost choked on. You know, how spicy it was. I know they call it the last dab, but I know there's also a build-up period in the show. We don't have a build-up period, so, oh my, it's so thick. Hold on, let me really shake this up. There was just like a chunk of freaking death pepper on top. Let's see if it's a little, oh, it's still all chunky up top. Is it supposed to be this chunky? What did you guys create here? Okay, this is literally all I'm trying. You see this? That's it. Oh my God. But before I destroy my taste buds with this hot sauce, a word from today's sponsor. Thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's video. One of the best parts about Raid is being able to form your own group and go at it with a bunch of really cool bosses. And with the new Artifact Forge update, you can save time and craft artifacts directly. It has an entirely new advanced quest system with some awesome rewards. Not only that, but they're bringing out new champions each and every month. They're currently developing the Doom Tower, and it's going to be a massive update with tons and tons of new rewards and champions. If you use my link down below for the next 30 days, you're going to be getting 100,000 silver and the brand new champion, the Death Chanter. For new players that sign up, you will be able to choose between 4 brand new champions to add to your roster, and I chose Elhaim because, let's be honest, she's the only waifu out of the bunch and there's no other choice. To pick up your new player rewards, all you have to do is be signed up and go to that treasure chest on the top right corner and collect those awesome rewards along with any daily rewards you might get. If you want to take advantage of those new player rewards with that 100,000 silver and the brand new champion, the Death Chanter, all you have to do is use my link down below and head over to Raid Shadow Legends. Thank you again to Raid for sponsoring this video. This sucks. Ah! No! Oh God, why? Just that little, just that little bit. What's the freaking units on this? I'm dying, hold on. Can I just eat sour cream? I'm not gonna eat sour cream. We'll be okay. I am very glad I did not try any more than that. This is now like a quarantine zone. We're gonna try to pull out a very careful amount of this. I'm gonna use like popsicle sticks or something and then just throw it away afterwards. So I'm going to start with like that much. In the letter, he had said that he had used about 2 to 3 tablespoons worth, and that was why it was spicy, which is great if you like spicy. I love spicy, but I want to be able to enjoy myself later on in the evening as well. I don't want to have to be dying on a toilet. So let's see, I put in very little. I probably put in maybe a half of a gram worth of spice on here, but I'm gonna grab another spoon. Actually, we'll use this. This was the original spoon we had used. This is gonna be hard to try because now my palate is completely overwhelmed, but let's see if we can get any flavor out of this. No, not yet. Gonna add a little more. So literally just they call it the last dab. We're adding just a dab at a time and try to get that flavor in here. I think that's honestly gonna be enough. So that was maybe a gram worth of that last dab to get this to be its spice level. I literally can't taste anything now. I don't know if it tastes spicy. Actually, yeah, that's nice. We're gonna leave that for now because that spice is going to increase over time, especially with a dip like this. Oh, so I'm gonna remove this from the bowl, put it into another container, and then what we'll do is we'll taste it again once my tongue isn't completely numb and on fire before we fry the chicken to see if we want to add any more to it. But I think this is really nice. It's creamy, it's salty, it has that really beautiful flavor from the blue cheese, but it does have a kick of spice from all those chilies and everything. So let's put this into something and let it just sit for a bit. Oh man, I did not expect that to be that spicy. Holy crap. I don't want to go on hot ones. If they ever invited me, you know, I'll be like, hey bro, do you got any like nice roasted salsa? Can I just have that? I don't want that Gordon Ramsay level. I don't want to be on that level. So now we're gonna let this blue cheese and death salsa stuff hang out for a little bit. We're gonna let this hang out for like 4 or 5 hours, just until we're ready to cook our chicken, just so that way the flavors have time to develop. I forgot what I was gonna say. The spiciness of that sauce legitimately made me forget what I was gonna say, but just throw this sauce into the fridge and let it hang out for 4 or 5 hours until you're ready to fry your chicken. If you need to, you can adjust it right before you serve it and it's not going to hurt it too much, it'll help it. But I'm gonna go grab some milk or some ice cream or maybe some Dairy Queen or some kind of cream and just put it into my mouth. Oh my God, that's spicy. Okay, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we've had about 4 or 5 hours or so on this chicken. So we're gonna go ahead and start frying this guy. The process is pretty simple. You literally just deep fry it. But I'm just gonna grab out my sauce that we had made, the dip and the chicken. We don't really need much else than that. And then we're also going to make our little bit of a dredge, which is gonna be cornstarch and all-purpose flour. Super simple. Now grab yourself whatever bowl or plate you're gonna use for your dredge. And the easiest way to make this, I actually really like equal parts all-purpose flour and then equal parts cornstarch or potato starch. So I'm gonna use just about a cup of flour and then followed by the cup of cornstarch. This kind of gives it a really crispy texture more so than anything, and that's kind of why I like using the cornstarch in there. I mean, yeah, we'll go with about a cup and a cup. I think that's gonna work out relatively nicely, and now I have cornstarch and flour everywhere. So since I'm going to be probably using chopsticks for this, I think I have my oil going already. We're gonna bring that up to 350. We're probably gonna double fry these, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna single fry it, pull them just before they're done, let them cool down just for a few minutes, and then fry them again. I think that just gives it a really nice crispiness to your chicken, and it allows it to have a better texture, so we're gonna try to double fry too. So it looks like my fryer oil is just about ready to go. It's reading at 340 degrees, and I think it's gonna carry over just fine. Here is our beautiful chicken. I mean, you can kind of see it without me spilling it for you, but there's a beautiful chicken. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly start removing this, making sure I don't bring over like too much of the liquid. I wanna have it to where it's mostly just the chicken at first, and then we're actually gonna place in just a little bit, just a touch of the liquid into this batter, or so I'm sorry, the dredge. So that way you kind of get some crispies going, you know? It adds a little bit more texture to it. But yeah, just go ahead and toss this all together. Nothing crazy here. You just wanna make sure that it's fully coated, so that way when you drop all of your chicken in, you're not too worried about like weird splatter happening. I'm gonna go ahead and dredge all of the chicken. I think we're just gonna go for it. That way it's all ready to go. Ooh, fryer is way too hot. It's reading 370. I'm gonna turn this down. This gets hot really quickly. So while that's kind of cooling back down a little bit, we're gonna start frying our chicken. We'll see, how much do we have? I think that's enough for one. We'll do a little bit more. We're not, actually I take that back. We're not gonna do all of the chicken. We'll finish the chicken later for dinner. So my fryer oil is still kind of hot, but that's gonna be okay because adding the chicken to it is actually gonna cool it down. And I know what some of you may be thinking, Paul, why didn't you add any salt to your flour? And that's because we had celery salt in our marinade. So I actually don't wanna over season this because then you have the issue of, well, now it's too salty. So as soon as I add that in, that's starting to drop. I'm gonna bring the heat back up and continue to drop in my chicken. I think I can get this all in here without really overcrowding it, and it's gonna be totally fine. I just have to make sure that the temperature stays around that 350 mark. This is gonna be so good. Okay, here we just got a couple more pieces. I wanna make sure I kind of monitor how hot this oil gets. It actually dropped down to about 300, like I was mentioning. Like, it lost its heat pretty quickly, but this will be okay because I just wanna add a little bit of color, get that initial kind of crust on my chicken. Then we're gonna pull it, we're gonna reheat the oil, and then we're gonna double fry it after letting it cool down for a few minutes. So it should be okay, even though it's lost some of the temperature, it'll work out. We're gonna have fried chicken. So my chicken has been going for just a few minutes. I'm gonna start pulling it because it's starting to get a little bit of color, and I'm gonna drop this right onto my sheet tray lined with a baking rack. So that way it kind of leaches any extra oil. It'll keep it nice and crispy this way, but I wanna keep the heat on, and we're gonna add the thermometer back in, making sure that this comes back up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so that way we can do the double fry. I want you guys to see how gorgeous this chicken looks already. Like, it's starting to get G-bad. That's kind of what you want. We're gonna let this cool down for just about 5 minutes, not too long. Let this oil heat back up, and then we'll have our chicken ready to go. This is ready to go. It's at 350 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and drop in couple of pieces. So what I really want to do as well is make sure I am paying attention to the oil more so on this part, so this way it stays nice and hot. But what's nice is that the reason why it's bubbling like this is it's letting off any excess moisture, and this will give it that really nice crust that we're looking for. But it's still kind of at 350. I'm gonna keep adding these in without overwhelming it, making sure that it stays at that temp. I think this is gonna be okay. This is our double fry. Oh God, you're okay. It's just the kitchen. Ooh, we got a little crunchy here. Oh yeah. Oh, money. So good. Now your second fry, this is the second fry, is gonna happen very quickly. And since I added these kind of at different intervals, you can see how quickly this has fried. This has only been in here for maybe 30 or 40 seconds. You wanna make sure you are paying attention to that, so that way you get that beautiful color without overcooking that batter or that chicken, so it doesn't get super dark on you. Pulling it out a little earlier than necessary because it will continue to gain some color as it's cooling down. So pay attention to that as you're doing your second fry, if you are double frying, which honestly I think is the best way of doing this. Oh, okay, those can go maybe just another 30 seconds and then we're good to go and we can start plating this up. Look at this chicken. Look at this chicken. Look at that color. What else do you need in life? Okay, our chicken's ready to go. It's nice and hot. Now what I like to do before I serve this to anyone is make sure that the seasoning is right, because we didn't season this because the batter or the marinade was seasoned earlier. A little bit of salt, because this does need some seasoning on it. The chicken itself is fine. The batter takes away a little bit of it, but I think that'll be good. Oh, hot, so good. After I burn my mouth, we're gonna take, I have a little bit of red leaf lettuce here. We're gonna garnish the plate with this so the chicken has somewhere to sit, and that way you don't have chicken sitting directly on your plate, because sometimes it'll like pool grease. I'd rather have the grease more so on the leaves, so that way it also kind of gives it some color, somewhere to land. The only other thing is it's still kind of wet from when I washed it, so you want to make sure that your leaves are dry so you're not giving anybody soggy chicken, because nobody wants that. Now, let's get some chicken on this thing. How is this my lunch right now? I want it to be like a shareable appetizer. That way if you were sharing this with someone like my wife that I'm about to right now, there's enough for both of us. Oh my God. Okay, look at that. That's beautiful. Look at all that chicken. You want some? Yes, please share. Yes. Now remember, Dawn had sent me this ready to go, and it's been probably a little over a week since I received it, so it has had time to marinate and sit and stew and become delicious. So we're gonna leave this as is, and that's just gonna go right up there. Then we have the sauce that I made this morning, which is that blue cheese spicy dip. The thing is with this is, again, those flavors may have not had enough time to develop, so to cheat a little bit, I'm gonna give this a taste and then re-season it right now before we put it into a bowl. Now, this is kind of what it looks like right now. That's your blue cheese dip. Let's see how it tastes. Oh, there's definitely heat. Needs just a pinch of salt, just a little bit. Ooh, the heat is nice though, because it's creamy. You get, it's just like, I don't know what it is about like the creamy and the spicy that I really like. That's good. Let's roll with it. That last dab though, it is so spicy. We're gonna add in a little bit of our sauce, but make sure you get those chunks of blue cheese. So this way when you serve it to somebody, they have the option of taking a big old chunk of it and placing it on their chicken. So this way, it's hard to see on camera, but you can see how chunky that is. That's what you want when you're serving this. It's so good this way. We have our plate up. Should we just do this, the dual? Can we fit this on here? Please, let there be room. Come on. I need it to be symmetrical though, without destroying the chicken. Look at that. Look at that monster. The one other thing I want to add is I have some extra pea sprouts from the potato chip fried rice video that I have. Yeah, that's the thing. Just gonna put in a few just right there, just for a little bit of garnish, so that way if somebody wants some pea sprouts, they can put it on their lettuce, then add their sauce to it. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Okay, I can't be the only one to try this, because then it's probably, you know, it's gonna be one-sided. I won't say that I won't like each of them, but we're gonna have Rachel try it. So Rach, you have a sec?
I'm Batman.
What? Get over here. What are you doing?
I'm Batman.
Do you guys hear this? I don't know what's happening. So you already know which sauce is which. So try each of them and let me know which one you like better.
Okay.
You are terrifying right now. So this is the blue cheese one I made, and then this is the honey mustard and truffle. And then the
Truffle.
a little bit. I know you don't like truffle, so that's also kind of a bias, but it's not very strong. You tried it earlier, you do kind of like it.
Okay.
But the chicken I marinated with buttermilk, honey, some spices and stuff like that. So there should be some sweetness to the chicken, so to hopefully offset some of the spiciness. And then there's chunkers of blue.
Like, what is that?
It's a chunker of blue cheese.
Okay.
So if you want to get some chunky in there.
Just start it.
How is it? It's good? Is it overly spicy? Is it just enough?
It needs more spice.
More spice?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so now try that one next.
Very good flavor, nice blue cheese. It's like a nice spicy blue cheese.
Okay, so because it kind of builds, I felt like, with that hot sauce. Don't touch my crotch towel. And then that one is the one that Donald said. His honey mustard, spicy, sweet, good.
I love you.
Oh no, the other one's better.
The other one wins.
Any reasons why?
It has more flavor.
Like more spiciness to it and everything?
There's more components. Like,
okay.
It has the sweet, it has the spicy, the mustard, everything. It's delightful. The blue cheese is awesome. It goes with it. But it's just there's something missing.
There's a little less depth behind it. That's what I figured too, because I know his sauce has been hanging out for a while.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like this, if I leave sit for another like week or so,
yeah,
it'll start developing more flavor. So I tried to cheat with that a little bit and add more spices to it. But yeah, okay.
They're both delightful, but Donald.
Don't make me. Yes.
Donald wins.
I lose.
I'm sorry.
I lose. That's okay. What? Chicken is good.
Yeah, it's delightful.
Bye, Batman. I share her sentiments. There's a lot of flavor behind that honey mustard, and it makes you want to eat more. So I feel like if I use the blue cheese one, maybe I can add some kind of acidic component to it beyond the buttermilk to really make you want to eat that constantly. I think maybe hitting it with like a little bit of lemon or anything like that would really bring up that intensity behind it, or adding in more spice, which remember, I kind of went the opposite direction. So Donald, you have my thumbs up on that one. It's an awesome sauce, and I really do enjoy it. I'm gonna eat some chicken. If you guys have any ideas of what you would want to do with the last dab, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your input, or if you've ever had it before, because it is incredibly spicy. My name is Chef PK. Welcome to the lab. Get subscribed, and remember, keep playing with your food. Yeah, it's spicy, but it's so good. Oh.